Okay, so what I'd like to show you now is just sort of the epitome of our data lakehouse management features, how powerful the Dremio catalog is. Because not only does it offer you automatic table optimization, automatic table cleanup, so that way you just set it and forget it and your tables are just going to work and be fast and be nice and crisp. But also you're going to get Git-like semantics powered by the open source project Nessie, allowing you to do branching, merging, tagging of your of basically changes in your data catalog, which is going to enable you to isolate ingestion work, allow you to create zero copy cloned environments, allow you to easily roll back when there is a disaster, basically make your life a lot easier. Okay, so we're going to walk through this query right here, but first let's actually get it running. Okay, so just to give you an idea here, so notice I have these single sort of table names. Well, I actually want it to be run from this particular folder right over here. So I'm going to go open that folder up in my catalog, February, get started GW. Now what I would have to do normally is I'd have to drag this over, which is still pretty convenient. Okay, and then I would get that whole fully qualified name there. But I don't want to do that. It's just a lot of typing, and then, I'd rather make it simpler and keep it like this. So how can I do that? Well, there's actually an option right here in the SQL editor that's going to allow me to set the context for the query. So I can say, hey, I want this to be done in this folder. Okay, and now I can go hit run on the query, and then every query will be run in the context of that folder. So it's assuming that fully qualified path before the name of the particular table that I'm working with. Okay, which is super convenient. Okay, and keep in mind, notice I am running multiple queries in the same window, and how convenient that is that I don't have to just run a query, wait for it to run, then do another query and type it out and type it out. I can put them all in the same window, and I can also create multiple tabs to work on multiple sets of queries at the same time. Okay, and then I can always save those as scripts or views, giving a really, really robust, easy to use SQL editing experience in the Dremio user interface. Okay, I'll click run, so this way this begins running. But again, it's not just the Dremio interface that you can do work from. Dremio has several different ways you can connect to the data, whether it's JDBC, ODBC, Apache Arrow Flight, the Dremio's REST API, so that way you can always connect to Dremio to have access to all your data for whatever that use case is. Okay, so this is going to be just about wrapping up. So again, basically what we're doing in this query is we're creating two tables. So I've created two tables. So these first two queries create a table and a staging table. The idea is that I want to ingest new data that's going to be in that staging table, but I don't want the data in that staging table exposed to my data consumers. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a branch. Okay, well, first we're going to insert some data into that staging table so that we can ingest it. But then I'm going to create a branch. Okay, so right here I see that I created a branch successfully. And then I'm going to switch over to that branch so that way any future transactions occur on that branch, which means those changes are not going to be visible to queries that query the main production branch. So that means all these changes that I'm doing to my data are not visible by people who are sending in their normal day-to-day queries, which means any data that isn't validated or isn't clean isn't going to be exposed to them. So you're not worried about sending them inconsistent data. Okay. So now that I've done that, I can now run my merge into statement, which is query number 6. So that's this query right here. So notice as I click on the query tab, it actually highlights the query in the text. So that way I know exactly which query that represents. Okay. There's just all these nice little quality of life touches. Okay. So I can see that the merge into statement was successful. It merged in 3 records. Okay. And which either meant it inserted a record or updated a record. So then after that, we're going to run some validation. So first we're trying to see if we have any negative sales counts. Okay, in this case, we do have one. We're going to check if any of the sales have incorrect dates, which means they have like dates in the future that wouldn't make sense. Okay, there was none that had that, success, fortunately. So let's assume that we made all of our validation checks and all of that was successful. If I didn't pass my validation checks at this point, I would go back and clean up my data and do what I need to remediate that data. But assuming it's successful, then what I can do is do a merge. But before we merge, I want to show you that the data isn't available in the main branch. So this first query, query 9, is a query on the main branch. And you see that the table is empty because we haven't integrated the new data yet. But if I click on query 10, that's querying the branch. I see the 3 records here. So you see I'm querying the same table. The only difference is I'm doing it on a different branch. Okay. Then if I go to query 11, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my main branch and I'm going to go run a merge statement, merging the commits from the branch we've been working off of back into the main branch. Okay, and now when I query both tables, where I query it from the main branch or the branch that we created, the data is the same because we pulled over those commits. So I've now published my data. So the point is, it's much easier to do sort of a write audit publish pattern. You can almost call it a branch audit merge pattern, or BAM, and basically do your ingestion work much more easily. And again, this is all powered by the Dremio catalog, which is powered by Project Nessie, which means it's not just Dremio that gets this advantage. Any tool that can connect to a Nessie catalog can connect to your Dremio catalog. So you can take advantage of this merging and branching in Apache Spark, in Apache Flink, and other tools that support Nessie catalogs. So basically, wherever you're doing your ingestion work, you can take advantage of this and then still be able to see all those branches here in Dremio. So like over here, when I take a look at this demos catalog, I can see all the branches I created, and I can go browse the data based on the particular branch and the particular commit to actually see the data as it was in the past. And Dremio provides a really nice UI for auditing your catalog. So if I go here to my Arctic catalog, that's these Dremio catalogs. Okay, I can go to any particular catalog, so in this case, demos. And I can go to a particular branch. So I'll go, hey, I want to go take a look at this is the branch we just created. Okay. But let's say I want to go to the data here, and I want to take a look at the data at a particular branch. I can choose which branch I want to take a look at the data as of. So I would just choose this branch right here. And now I'm browsing the catalog as it was on that branch. I can see what commits have been made. So I can see, hey, I want to see the commits on this branch because I switched over to that branch. And I can see those commits. I can see who made the commit. I can get the commit ID, so that way I can roll back to those previous commits. So I get this nice UI that gives me visibility and observability into what's going on in my data catalog. So that, well, is pretty cool. So now I have that observability from the Dremio catalog level, which allows me to know who made changes. And then again, I have the individual transactions that you get from a Apache Iceberg table history that gives you some other levels of sort of flexibility into those tables. So overall, very, very cool. So that's a bit of a tour of the Dremio Cloud Lakehouse platform. It's very robust. There's so much more you can do. But the best way to kind of see all of that in action is to get hands-on with it. So whether it's through a Docker container, through Kubernetes, or creating a Dremio Cloud account, I recommend that you get hands-on with Dremio and try it out for yourself and apply it to one of your use cases with data that you like to work with and see it in action. And I assure you, you will like what you find. I'll see you later.